folks. It's a little buggy out here, so I'm going to try to make this kind of brief. As I told you, I kind of spent a lot of my summer right here at home, and the 1 week that I did go away, I came home and turned on my radio. It is definitely buggy, and something didn't sound right. And I looked up, and what do you think I see? No antenna. It's not there. It's not there. Where's my antenna? Oh, there's my antenna in the pond. That's my multi-band dipole. Let's see. There's 160 and 75 and 40 and looks like 20 and up 15 and 10 are in the water. And there's the coax, and there's the tree that it's supposed to be in, that tree. So I guess we got to hoist the antenna back up. Now, fortunately, there are two lines. Actually, you don't see it. That's not the coax. I'm swatting bugs here. That's not the coax. That's actually the hoist line. There are two lines. One goes over the tree with a pulley, and the other goes through the pulley and back down to the base of the tree. And that's what I actually hoist the antenna up with, and that's what you're seeing there, that black line. So this will be a fairly easy task. I just have to pull that hoist line back to shore, attach it to the new cable, or to attach the new cable to the pulley that's underwater there, and hoist it up and follow suit. Let me show you what this antenna actually looks like. This is the south leg of the antenna, which goes up over this Scotch pine here and goes into, if you can see the line, yeah, maybe you can see the line. It's up there. There's 100-foot or so line. There you go. That goes into that tree over there, that tree line, and the west leg of the antenna. I can't really show it to you from here. I'm kind of in a hole here. We refer to this as the meadow. The west leg of the antenna goes over all this shrubbery here. Line goes over this another Scotch pine here. And from there, it goes uphill to a telephone pole about 600, 700 feet away. So, like I said, we're down in a hole here. This is our little stream in here, feeding the pond. It's not running now. At the end of the summer, it's pretty dry. This is the shallow end of the pond, the cattails. I don't know if you can see. The pond goes for a ways down there. And there's the tree that everything is in. So we're gonna, there's my spool of mason line, which goes up, and then there's the black dacron looped around the tree. That's the hoist line, which, as you see right now, is just going into the pond. There's the antenna. Sad. Well, it'll be up soon enough. Okay, so walking over to the shrub line here, you'll see this doesn't look right. Isn't that something? My, see that coil of rope? I had the, I guess it doesn't matter. I had the, I had the 1/4-inch line pulled over the top of the tree, and I left it like that, and just its weight and the wind managed to pull it down. There you see the transition to the mason line. So here you see the line going up over the tree. I'm standing at the edge of the pond. There's the antenna, hopefully taking its final bath. And follow my line down. Here's my pole line. And this is a spool of 1/8 stainless steel 7x14 aircraft cable. And that's what we're going to be pulling up through the tree. And I'm going to go pull up in the backyard because it's a little too buggy down here. I'm slathered with mosquito spray. So let's walk up the hill. So here we have my spool started on my winch. This is the utility pole guy line anchor that I have pretty well screwed into the ground here. And it is actually free to rotate, but I can assure you there's a big plate underneath there that's not getting pulled up. But it did, the nuts did loosen enough to allow it to rotate, but that's all right. So let's go see what kind of nightmare awaits me down below, because when I bought the spool, they very clearly stated right on the spool, don't let this freewheel. And I can just imagine the hairball that would ensue if that cable sprung off of the spool. Oh, look at that. It stayed in its box. How very nice. There we go. Stayed in its box. No hairball. Alright, so things are going okay so far. You know Murphy's going to arrive at some point. He may be late. It's Monday. He's probably hungover. But he'll get here, I'm sure. Alright, I need to get the pulley up out of the pond, so I'm going to grab this tag line and try to get the pulley on the other end of my antenna line there. You see what I'm pulling out of the water there? Let me zoom. Maybe I can zoom in for you. There you go. You can see what I'm pulling out of the water there. And there's a pulley on the end of that somewhere that I've got to get up on shore. So I'll do that and we'll get back to you. Okay, here I am in the jungle. And if you can see this, these are Concord grapes, which we have everywhere. They're just everywhere down here. They're all around the pond. They're up in the trees. This place just reeks of grape. Alright, so here's the antenna. You can get a little better look at it from this angle. There's a piece of PVC hanging off the bottom, which just helps to keep the plate vertical. It just allows the coax to pull the plate down a little to keep it vertical. It's got to keep it focused. And there's a baling at the top of the plate, which is just under the pulley and rope and stuff on top. And then 2 copper strips. I have some stills of this. Maybe if I find them, I'll put them up in the page here. And then you see all of the elements, obviously, going off into the sunset or sunrise, as the case may be. It's too hot to do this in the afternoon, so it's fairly early morning yet here. And there's my other line going off that way, and then it rises and goes over those trees and off to a telephone pole about 600 feet away. So Murphy finally did show up, and the pulley, if you can see the pulley there on the end of this rope, if I get it to focus, there you go. The pulley there on the end of that rope doesn't want to slide down to me. I was hoping it would just slide down and I could grab it, hook it up, and we'd be done. But I think that we're going to have to go get the canoe and paddle out. Either that, or I could release the other end of the antenna from its end moorings and pull it over. I don't know if that's a better alternative. Well, we'll see what I can do. More to come. Okay, so what we've got here that I wanted to show you is the plate. Doesn't look that pretty anymore hanging from the pond, does it? But this is the original photo of the Lexan plate that I made for the antenna, and it's a little scratched up, but Lexan doesn't care. Lexan is really the preferred plastic if you try making these things out of plexiglass, acrylic. They will not last very long. They probably won't last a year. Lexan, however, very tough stuff. It's a cross-linked polycarbonate used for bulletproof glass, and it holds up very well. So let's make sure, if you use any of this clear stuff for antenna mounts and I use it for mobile brackets and on the vehicle and everything. So it's pretty good, pretty tough stuff. This is about 1/2 inch thick, somewhere between 1/2 and 3/8, maybe 10 millimeter. There's a balun in the box, not a terribly robust balun. It's a simple 1-to-1 balun, and the copper strips are fed to stainless steel nuts and bolts. Each element of the antenna is separately fed through the holes to strain relieve it, and you notice that the holes at the very top are a little bigger than all the rest, and that's because if I move to this next picture, what you see here is a 1/4 inch irrigation tubing with a piece of number 11 telegraph wire, which has a polyethylene jacket. And yeah, number 11. Odd, weird, right? But that's what it is. It's number 11 copper plated steel. It's essentially copper weld. And this is what they used for telegraph wire on the railroads, I am told. I found a spool of it in the woods one day, and it was just about long enough for a 160 meter antenna. So that is the 160 meter or top leg, the main suspension leg of my antenna, and then all the other antennas are suspended below it. And so here you see a piece of what is a number 14, a THHN, common household wiring, stranded. It has this happens to have a purple core, a purple jacket, but it's, you get the stuff surplus, you take what you can get. And actually the purple is not a bad color against a blue or a gray sky. It's a pretty neutral color. And now here I want to show you these connectors. These are the connectors that I took off of my old antenna. And if you look at these connectors, you see that the pins are pretty clean. There doesn't seem to be any corrosion in the barrel connector. Now remember, this was out in the weather. This connector, until this photo was taken, had been out in the weather, completely exposed and not opened for maybe 20 years. This is a 20-year-old piece of coax. And you look at this and you say, wow, its connections look pretty good. There was no tape on this. There was no, what do they call, coax seal, monkey dope. None of that stuff. My My feeling is, or it has been and still is, that if you want to keep moisture and contaminants and junk out of your antenna connections, out of your antenna elements, out of places where it shouldn't be, you need to fill those places with something else. The only way to keep water out is to not provide it a place to go. So I fill my connectors with silicone grease, dielectric silicone grease, and this is the result. No water, no arcing, no corrosion, works just fine. Every time that I have attempted or seen, I don't actually do it, but I've certainly taken apart enough coax cables at other stations where they have attempted to seal them using various materials, such as, coaxial or refrigeration tape or all those kinds of things. Most often what those things do is prevent the connectors from drying out once they do get wet, because they do get wet. So I just wanted you to see that. There's the proof. And like I said, at least 20 years, maybe more, but certainly 20. Okay, back to our antenna.
So look at all these grapes. There's a lot of grapes in there. Just everywhere.
Okay, so we've attached a new pulley and hoist line, and we're just going to leave the old one on there. We'll get it down some other time. It's not going to be, I don't think it's going to be a problem. And if it is, we can drop the other ends of the dipole. Let's get this thing up in the air for now. Get it start drying out, and once some of the leaves are off the trees in a few weeks, we can come down and there's no more bugs out here, no mosquitoes and all. We can take care of that. We also put a new cleat on our tree because I broke the old one. It's been there a while. Trees growing around it, and so let's start hoisting. Okay, so that's it. Our antenna is more or less up in the air. Now it's not very high, not as high as I'd like it to be. I assume that the positioning of my pulleys and the like, I don't have the geometry quite right, and it's pulling more horizontally than it is vertically. Yes, and that is the case. So see if I can zoom in on this for you. Okay, so there's the pulley. You can see the pulley. Yeah. There's the pulley there, and the antenna is over here. So it's got quite a horizontal pull. That pulley really should be up in the tree more. But we'll get that figured out once we. See, I got a lot of tree left to go there. Get that pulley up higher. But it's hard to do with one person because I can't see the other side of the tree when I'm hoisting. I don't know where the pulley is, and I don't want to pull it up too far. I'll get it caught up in the limbs and then have to pull it back, and that'll be difficult. But for now, the antenna it's about 40-50 feet, at least 50 feet above the pond. And I've had enough for today. So yeah, it's not clear of the fir tree over there, but it's clear of these trees. So it's operable, that's for sure. We can go in and check that out later. So once the leaves are down from these trees, I can see what I'm doing better, and I can make some adjustments, and I don't have to deal with the bugs and the heat. I mean, it's nice having an iron-rich pond to operate your antenna above, but it's a little rough this time of year. Okay, we wait for cooler weather. Our antenna is up in the air again. Well, I'll leave you with a a few other shots from the archive here of the construction of the antenna originally. And the design of this antenna obviously is a multi-band dipole, which I happen to think is an excellent antenna. It is resonant wherever you cut the elements. It is coaxial fed without needing a tuner. Automatic band switching, so to speak. Flip the switch and operate. And it's a very effective antenna. And I don't know why people want to use use things that require a lot of twiddling of knobs and tuning all the time. That is not, stuff that's not resonant, and I don't understand it. These things work very, very well. And don't be afraid of balance. Don't be afraid of coax. It works just great. If it didn't, believe me, the military would be using open wire line. That's all I have to say about that. Anyway, here's some final pictures, and I guess maybe we'll talk some more about antennas at a later date. I do have a pending video that I'm working on all kinds of antennas and transmission line theory, basically focused on the phase relationships rather than most stuff focuses on magnitude. I'm going to be talking about phase. I think it's easy to understand if you consider the phase relationships in the loads and lines. So hopefully we'll have that out soon. So thank you very much for watching. I'm glad to finally have my antenna back up, and maybe it'll dry out a little. This is only the second time that it's been underwater. I think it spent almost as much time underwater as above water at this point. But with the stainless steel aircraft line, I'm slowly eliminating things that can break. And the trees are starting to break now. Some of those limbs came down today. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this. And as they say on ham radio, 7-3.